Hello there guys, and welcome back to MN's LEGO channel, and today I'm going to be showing you guys part 2 of how to get clones for cheap. So, a few months ago, I made a video about how to get clones for cheap, which was just a few tips that I gave about ways to avoid spending too much money on clone troopers, especially at the beginning and if you're on a budget. And today, I thought I would continue that series with a few more tips, and also a couple more things that you should avoid. So my first tip is to buy all of these clones that you see here, in particular on Bricklink right now. Because these clone troopers, every single clone here can be found for less than $5 in used condition on Bricklink. Even the 501st troopers. Right now is a horrible time to buy the 501st battle pack because this 501st grunt here, he's $5 brand new condition. I'm not kidding you on that. I have literally just checked it, but I'm as surprised as you are, but that is going to be my first tip. Because right now, prices are low for all of these figures, and if you want to get these for cheap, all 8 of these, now's the time. All of these are for under $6 in used condition. Some of them are even less, like I believe this one here is about less than $2. The Bomb Squad Troopers as well, which I don't happen to have, they also go for under $2. But yeah, if you want to build an army of grunts, these are the 8 that you should look at if you're going to buy whole figures on Bricklink. I also have tips for parting out clone troopers on my previous video, which if you haven't watched already, I would highly recommend you do, because there's going to be more tips in that one that I'm not going to be going over again in this video. So my second tip is never buy off of eBay, especially when you're looking to buy clone troopers. The best place to buy clone troopers of any kind made by LEGO is on Bricklink.com. If you aren't using it already, it's a really great way to buy LEGO clone troopers. I've done all my orders. Pretty much every figure I have, out of the 42 clones I have, is purchased on Bricklink, or it came from a LEGO set, or I bought it from a local LEGO retailer. So, yeah, Bricklink is a great place to find good deals, especially if you find a seller that has lots of clone troopers and parts. That's what I did for a whole bunch of different figures. This one and quite a few others. So, if you can find a seller that has a whole bunch of clone troopers that are inexpensive, just even clear out their inventory if you have the money to do so. But if you don't, just buy some of the ones that you like the most. One that I failed to mention in my last video was decaling clone troopers. So now this is not something that I've personally done, but from what I've seen of it, it looks like it's pretty easy to do once you know how, and it can get some pretty good results. So for less than $10, you can get yourself a Phase 2 Captain Rex with blasters and everything, from parts for the blasters from Bricklink, and then the clone bodies, and the decals from like Jonak Toys. So one thing that I've heard people say is to buy Jonak Toys decals instead of AV figures, and I've never decaled before, but this makes sense because the Jonak Toys decals are a lot less complicated, and there's less room to make a mistake. Another tip I have for building an Ahsoka Clone Trooper army, or a 332nd army, is to first buy the 501st Troopers in mass on Bricklink, because they're like $5 each, new right now, and then buy the helmets on Clone Army Customs, which are like $4 each, US, so probably 5 or 6 Canadian dollars. Then sell the helmets from the 501st Troopers for whatever they're worth on Bricklink, which I think is about $2.50 each right now, and that way you get a 332nd Trooper for $10, maybe a little less each. So this is actually really cheap, because the base figure itself goes for $12 plus brand new, and you can get them for like 9 or 10 in this way. And it's with Clone Army Customs helmets, so it's going to be a way better print design, and it's going to have holes for visors and other accessories. So You can even make Captain Vaughn in that way just by getting a Vaughn helmet from Clone Army Customs and buying the accessories as well. So, yeah, if you want to make a 332nd Trooper army, that is the way to do it. And it's something that I haven't seen done a lot, and it's pretty easy to do. So my last tip for today is when you're buying clone troopers to buy as much as you possibly can from one seller in one order. This way you can maximize what you get and save as much as possible on shipping. So yeah, if you have found a seller that has lots of clone troopers or clone trooper parts, just buy as much as you possibly can from that specific seller. That way you will have to spend less on shipping, especially if the seller is close to you. That way you don't have to do multiple orders and have to pay multiple shipping prices, which can get expensive. And in addition to that, just wait for a good deal, because even for rare figures, good deals can come. Like this 212th Trooper, this figure, I got him for 12 Canadian dollars plus shipping, which was like $2. So in US dollars, that's about $11 or $12 total for the figure, including shipping. And this figure usually goes for like 15 US dollars. And this is in mint condition. So deals like this do come about, you just have to look for them. And scan Bricklink regularly and look for good deals. Because if you find a good deal on a figure, say it could even be Phase 2 Captain Rex, or this ARC Trooper here, or a Wolfpack Trooper, or a Shock Trooper, or something like that, even a plain Phase 2 Clone Trooper. All of these figures, they're very expensive, upwards of $20 in new condition, 15 or more at the very least for used. But if you can find them for less, which does happen sometimes, I have seen it happen to me myself, it is possible to get these figures. So now let's look at a couple of things not to do, especially right now given current market circumstances on Bricklink. So here are a few tips that you should of things that you should not do to buy clone troopers. So right now, this seems kind of counterintuitive, but the last thing you should be doing right now is buying the 501st Battle Pack. Unless you specifically want the battle droids and the parts that come with it, you should just buy the 501st Troopers on Bricklink. It's going to be way cheaper because they're $5 each, new condition, brand new condition right now. And the set itself costs 40 Canadian dollars, so you're essentially paying for 4 figures, so half the price of the set. That's a really good price. So one thing that I would also not recommend doing is trying to make a custom plain Phase 2 Clone Trooper out of a 501st Trooper. So there have been a few custom figure makers online that have tried to make custom Phase 2 plain Clone Troopers out of the 501st Trooper from the 501st Battle Pack. And while I will admit they do look very good, these people are very skilled. And if you want to go out and do it, that's fine. Just be aware that you may lose a 501st Trooper. And it's definitely possible to do it. It's just not very easy. And unless you're very confident, I personally wouldn't recommend doing it. It's much safer to buy a decal. That way, if you mess up, you lose parts that are much cheaper to get. And you don't have to spend as much money to try and get a new second one. Even though I haven't done either, so take this with a grain of salt, but I personally would recommend decaling over this method, at least if you're just getting into custom figures or getting into collecting clone troopers, and you don't have too much money to spend if you accidentally mess it up. So yeah, that's going to do us for this video. So I hope you found these tips helpful, and if you haven't checked out part 1 of this, I would highly recommend you do so. There's even more tips and things that you should not do that it shows about how to get a clone army for cheap, especially at the beginner level. So yeah, thanks for watching the video, guys. Comment what you thought of this in the comments below, and while you're down there, like the video and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye. Bye.